Hello and welcome to another episode of Weapons and Warfare. For Straight Arrow News, I'm your host, Ryan Robertson. Just ahead this week, from rifles to tilt rotors, the Army goes on a designation spree. We've got the details. Plus, the mortar gets a glow-up. We check out the Scorpion Light mobile mortar system in our Weapon of the Week. And Fairbanks Morse Defense is bringing the pit stop to the fleet. In our comms check, see how this innovative idea is keeping American ships on the job and out of the docks. But we're going to dive into our main story first, preparing for conflict in the Pacific. It's a subject we've been following almost from the beginning here at Weapons and Warfare. As China continues to grow its military strength and make bold moves in the South China Sea, the Department of Defense is working to keep China's influence in check and ensure everyone can operate freely in the waters of the world's largest ocean. Over the course of the past few months, we've traveled to Aurora, Colorado, Washington, D.C. several times, and Tampa, Florida, each time hearing from different branches of the U.S. military about the issues they're facing. While many of those issues are unique to those individual services, some, like China, are universal. There's a recognition among senior leadership, like Lieutenant General Steven Skalinka, that their troops will likely be tested in a way they have not been before.
None of us wearing a uniform today have ever experienced a time when you've had to operate where you were challenged in the strategic domains and in the operational domains. We've always had unfettered access in the global commons. That's not going to be the case in the Indo-Pacific, and that's a significant piece. So that's what really drives a lot of the priorities that we're having, not just in the Marine Corps, but I think within the Joint Force.
The threat presented by China in the Pacific is more than a talking point for American military leadership. In a very short period, China's People's Liberation Army Navy has grown in size and stature. While exact numbers are hard to pin down, China's Navy is estimated to have a fleet of approximately 370 surface ships and submarines, with a total personnel strength of 384,000. For the Deputy Commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, Vice Admiral Blake Converse, those numbers line up with what he's seeing in the Pacific theater.
When I was a young officer driving submarines across the Pacific, almost 30 years ago, you could drive across the Pacific through the South China Sea, through the Andaman Sea, and into the Indian Ocean, and it was very unlikely that you would see a Chinese warship, a Chinese aircraft, or Chinese submarine during the entire transit. Today, on any given day, on our common operating picture, there will be over 100 Chinese warships, submarines, and auxiliaries operating in the Indo-Pacific waters.
One of the reasons why the Pacific Theater presents such a unique challenge is the size of it all, something Vice Admiral Andrew Tiongson acknowledged at Sea Airspace 2025.
I think you talked about the AOR that I'm responsible for right now, and it is vast. It's about 74 million square miles. It's got over 70 nations that are in it. I always talk about it from polar bears to penguins, from Hollywood to Bollywood, and a little bit more to the east coast of Africa. So it's pretty wide.
Perhaps surprisingly, one place where the joint forces are looking for possible solutions is the Middle East, where the U.S. is fending off threats by the Iranian-backed Houthis with troops stationed at sea and on land. Something General Kevin Schneider, Commander Pacific Air Forces, spoke about at this year's AFA Warfare Symposium.
We're continuing to find ways, taking those lessons from base defense to be able to go, all right, what do each of the components bring to the fight, and recognize, at least in the Indo-Pacific, the Air Force and the Army are probably going to power project from land, build on this, and that's incumbent upon having a command and control system that allows systems and capabilities to plug into that quickly.
That inter-service capability is something now retired Army General and former commander of the U.S. Army Pacific, Charles Flynn, talked about last October at AUSA.
We concede no domain in the Pacific. We can't lose in any one of them. So the strength that we have to apply not just in the air domain, not just in the maritime domain, not just in the space and cyber domain. There is also strength that's required in the land domain to integrate all of these things. And the interdependencies of the joint force, they're reliant upon land forces bringing these things together.
While the number does vary, according to recent estimates, the U.S. military has approximately 350,000 personnel stationed in the Pacific region. The largest concentration of troops are in Japan and South Korea, with significant numbers also stationed in Guam and Hawaii. And the one thing they all depend on to stay mission ready is space, a factor not lost on Brigadier General Anthony Mostelaar, commander of U.S. Space Forces Indo-Pacific.
We need to establish space superiority first. And the reason why that's a challenge for us in the Indo-Pacific is exactly because China is racing toward parity in those other domains. So the other components, the air domain, the maritime domain, the land domain, depend on the Space Force more than ever to provide that protection against, protecting the joint force from space-enabled attack.
As China continues building up its navy, its impact on stability in the Pacific region is becoming increasingly important. It's one of the many reasons why American military leadership says it's crucial for the United States and its allies to come together and respond effectively to maintain peace in the Pacific.
Well, that's a lot. All right, Shalom. Start up the same call. Halayim La Yahweh. Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Ba'Shem Harikah Kudash Ma'amat. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the occupant of pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. I'm Khnakhta'an by Yasharallah, from the Lions of the Yasharallah camp. And this is once again another Lions of News and Prophecy. Let's get it. This is Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 1, it says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. All right. I know it's starting to sound like a broken record talking about China again, but there's some serious stuff going on over in the Pacific. Thus you've seen with that video, right? So, man, he said a lot. He said he cannot give up. They cannot give up. I forgot the word that he used, but they cannot give up any kind of status in the Pacific. And they said they need special assistance from the Space Force. And they're ramping up military, and so is China. See that? There's a lot going on in the Pacific right now, man. And guess who's doing it? How about Shimel Shah? All right. So this is let's get this real quick. All right. It says Jeremiah 50 and 25. It says, The Lord hath opened up his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans, right? So ultimately, America is a common denominator with all this turmoil that's going on throughout the whole earth. You see that? And it's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? The Lord bringing pressure on her. It ain't crazy to the sense but it's like this is like we're really living prophecy right now. We are really living in the time where Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is turning back the captivity of Zion right before our eyes, man. These are beautiful things. Like the rest of the world won't understand, but we will understand. The wicked won't understand, but the righteous shall understand that this is what we need to see in order for our captivity to be returned back before our eyes. All right, so now it says China is upping its game in the Pacific. How are U.S. forces preparing? Right? How are they preparing? Preparing. Wow, that's the spirit, man. Wow. One of the apostles, yeah, Apostle Gabar, Just had a video just come up and it says top of the discussion was war and salvation, and that's what we're seeing right now: wars and rumors of war. You know, Jeremiah 50:25, the Lord has opened up his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord in the land of the Chaldeans. So, understanding that the United States is the common denominator for all the conflict that's going on in the earth. You know, it's not a you know it's not a coincidence. No, this is the works of Yahweh by Shema Shai, opening up his armory. All right, he has a sacrifice in Basra in the land of the Chaldeans. You know, and this is just a precursor of what's to come. You know, the Lord's gonna do America bad, man. The Lord's gonna do the United States real bad. Like I'm talking about, ooh, man, it's beautiful for us, sucks for them. You know. All right, so let's get into this article a little bit. It says China is continuing to expand its military footprint and assert dominance in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, the United States Department of Defense has intensified efforts to counter Beijing's influence and ensure freedom of navigation in the Pacific. Right? Freedom for who? Freedom for just them. United States way over here. What they doing way over there? I'm gonna tell you why. Matter of fact, the Lord gonna tell you why. This is Habakkuk 2:3. It says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry." It says, all right, and this is the vision. What? The vision of our salvation, destruction on America, destruction of Esau, deliverance for Zion. All right, verse 4 says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith." Right. Where it's going to become a time where the remnant shall not stay upon he that smote them, but shall stay upon Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. And that starts now, It says, because he's not, whatever the things that Esau's doing is righteous in his own eyes because of his own agenda. You know what I'm saying? Wickedness is righteous to the wicked. The bottom line, and righteousness is wicked to the wicked. All right. So what he's in his mind, that says there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end of it is the ways of death. So if you think like this devil, you're gonna reap that same reward. It says, verse 5 says, "Yea, also because he transgresses by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desires as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." See that? See that? He's got, and so that's why he's over there. That's why Esau's over there. That's why the United States is over there anyway. See that? They're trying to conquer and take over the whole earth. They want to have power over the whole structure of the earth. But they're getting resistance in the way. They're not able to do so. All right. It says, back to the article. It says over recent months, straight arrow news traveled to Aurora, Colorado, Washington D.C., and Tampa, Florida, to speak with leaders of the U.S. military. While each branch faces unique challenges, officials consistently identify China as a shared concern. See that? See that? China is a main threat to the United States right now. It says, there has never been a time when we had to operate while being challenged in both strategic and operational domains, said Lieutenant Stephen Slinka, Deputy Commander for Installations and Logistics with the Marine Corps. We have always had unfettered access to global commons. That will not be the case in the Indo-Pacific because you're losing your hegemony in the earth. You used to be able to roam around the globe as you will, as you please, and nobody bothered you. But now the scripture says, let the weak say that I am strong. They're putting a stop to this bullshit that America's trying to throw down. You see that? It says, China's recent expansion. It says, China's People Liberation Army Navy has rapidly expanded in both size and, and capability. Estimates placed its fleet at approximately 370 surface ships and submarines supported by 384,000 personnel. Vice Admiral Blake Converse, Deputy Commander of the United States Pacific Fleet, said those figures reflect what he sees daily in the region. So he's seeing a lot of Chinese ships. All right, it said 30 years ago you could sail across the Pacific. You've seen that in the video. It said 30 years ago you could sail across the Pacific, encounter a Chinese warship, and rarely encounter a Chinese warship. Converse said, today, on any given day, or common operating picture shows more than 100 Chinese vessels operating in the Indo-Pacific waters. See that? See, the United States can't go around flexing its muscles anymore. You see that? So the Lord has set set of boundaries that He cannot surpass, according to the Book of Job, man. You see that? So now I ain't gonna go into this too deep, but like you shall hear wars and rumors of war. They're gearing up for war over there in the Pacific, and we ultimately know what it's gonna lead to. It's gonna lead to, you know what I'm saying? This might be a precursor to something, and something else might spark it off, but something's gonna spark it off, man. Whether it happens from the Middle East or with Ukraine and Russia, or with what's going on in the Indo-Pacific. But guess what? America is one of the common denominators of each one of those conflicts that's going on in the world right now. America has their hands in that's what you get around when you meddle in another man's affairs. His problems becomes your problems. Because America wanted to dib and dab and everything. Now they have to bear the repercussions of all the hell that they stirred up, throughout time, you know, roaming around the whole earth, seeking who they may devour. You see that? So now it ain't no coincidence. It's just what goes around comes around. You reap what you shall sow. And guess who put them up to doing all this? Yahweh Shem Shai, man. Yahweh Shem Shai has created the smith to blow up the coals to set America up, all right, to be destroyed off the face of the earth, man. So I just wanted to touch on that again a little bit, man. I don't know. This might be the last one on China that I'm doing right now. Just if something else comes up, it might not be the last one, but there's something going over there in the Indo-Pacific, and this explains it all, man. So we're witnessing the downfall of the United States, to where their military is really concerned about the military buildup over there in the Indo-Pacific by China. All right. Lord willing, this lesson edify and serve this purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones who truly believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. With that, I'd like to say, Call Halayim, La Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Harik HaKodash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Heroin as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth to sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men and women and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.